Okay, so now is the time. Now it is here. The After the Leap podcast is launching. Okay, y'all confirm for me if y'all can hear. Let me know if you can hear me, if it's clear. Okay, but welcome to the After the Leap podcast. If you were on the first little tidbit where stuff wasn't coming together, that's just no, I'm not frustrated. You want to know why I'm not frustrated? Because that's the whole point of this podcast. You have to take the leap regardless and figure it out as you go. Seriously. Okay. So we are here, and tonight is the first episode of this podcast that I'm starting called After the Leap podcast. My name is Kayla Davenport, and I am a boutique owner. I am now a podcast host. I am a daughter, a sister, a friend, a fiance. I am a lot of things. And I love to talk to people about life, about the things that we go through. And so I figured, why not share that with other people? I'm sure I'm not the only person who wants or has a story to tell. So that is why we are here. And a lot of stories start with taking this step, this leap, this jump into another space in life. And so After the Leap talks about what happens after we made that decision. What did that decision look like? What did that process look like for me? And what was the outcome of that? Was that good? Was that bad? Was that funny as hell? Or was that just, you know what, maybe let's not do that again? And all of them are very valuable to me. And this name was chosen for me because, well, for the podcast, because everyone, and it doesn't matter if it's personal or business, we all have that moment where we have to take that step in life to become better and change our lives, to do the things that we dream of. No dream just happens by being comfortable. It just does not work that way. So that is a little bit about the name, and I hope gives you a glimpse into what you can expect from this show, which it will be a journey. We are going to talk about all aspects of life. It won't just be business, but one of my favorites and one that I can relate to is taking a leap of faith in business. Well, I guess I have to say too, in relationships. And I think that's one that a lot of us can agree to, and it will help to hear other people's perspective. So let me tell a little bit about me and why I felt like I was a good person to host this podcast. I have, growing up, I have seen a lot of people take leaps of faith and believe in themselves, but I have also taken very big steps in my life that I feel made me the woman I am today. And though I have a lot to learn and I have a lot more steps that I will be taking in life, um, I've already taken a few and I've gotten a few bumps and bruises, and here we are. So we are on Facebook Live. And the fun thing about this podcast is that we will be recording on Tuesdays live. Some of the guests that will be on here, they might have merchandise to sell or a talent that they can show you on live. And you can hear a little bit about them and their backstory, but also the things that caused them to want to take that leap of faith, whether it was their family or their business. And I want to introduce the world, because one day the world will watch this, to people who are just different and are killing it after taking that big leap. And so I'm passionate about that. And I'm passionate about spreading my reach to people who are like me and who supported me and who are trying just like me. And that's why I felt like I was like A1, okay, to run this podcast. So the podcast will be on every 2 weeks. So we are starting this week, and we won't have a podcast next week, but we will have one the following week. And every week there will be someone new on the podcast sharing their story, sharing their product, sharing their talent, sharing their story, having fun. And at the end of each podcast, because we want to keep this as natural and raw and real for everyone as possible, I want them to recommend me someone that maybe I don't know that I can reach out to and get to know and hear their story. So this is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really, really excited about it. So let me tell a more in depth about me and why After the Leap resonates with. So the first leap of faith that I've ever seen in my life was my mom, which of course she is one of my guests that will be coming on a little bit later in the podcast, but I can't wait for you guys to hear her story. And I remember all of my family originally is from Baltimore, Maryland, and my mother out of nowhere just decides she wants to relocate to North Carolina. At the time, I'm like, when my mom is thinking of this, I'm like 7 or 8 years old when she's like coming up with this idea and planning this out. And I kid you not, I was like, where is even North Carolina? Like, I didn't even know North Carolina was close because to me, everything I needed was right in Maryland. And so if I felt that way, I can only imagine how she felt as a mother of 2 kids. And so, you know, that was my first experience. And when you guys hear that story, you'll understand why that always stuck with me because me and my mom are very close, and she had to make some serious sacrifices to get to where she is today. And seeing where she is today makes me very, very happy and excited because she's in some really awesome positions in life. So it's really cool. She actually just closed on her first home. So congratulations to her for that. But then growing up, she's always been very vision forward. Okay. I also have a grandmother who ran her own business and she was a teacher. So I've always seen that drive. Then I have the male figures in my life, like my dad, who runs a business, has always ran a business. He does lawn care and car detail since I can remember. So that is what I've seen. Then I get older, always working, always wanting to do things and wanting what I wanted, wanting to be cute, wanting to go where I want to go. Well, I lived in Charlotte, which was my desired location at the time. And I was in a relationship and I was working a job, and it wasn't necessarily the best for me. And it was a lot of turmoil and toxicity. This is hit that word? I hope so. But it was a lot of that going on. And I remember calling my mom and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna apply for a job, whatever the job is, and I'm out of here. I'll figure it out. I'm moving in with you, and that's that. And of course, my mom was with it. I ended up applying for some jobs, and lo and behold, the job that I was at ended up transferring me, thank God. And it was better pay, but the job, y'all, for real, I would have rather stayed with the ex than to go to the job. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could have stayed where I was at, and it probably would have been as much as a headache or depressing as I felt. And at the time, my mom just kept pushing me, like, just keep doing your work, keep focusing on you, and your answer will come. So then I stumbled into real estate. I'm like, oh, I love real estate. I love the idea of investing. I love the idea of being able to grow your money. I love the idea of just how it all makes sense in real estate. And Of course, I have people coming on for real estate, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful topic and field for me. So I just loved it. I was enthralled in it. It was the one thing that I would go to work, be at work studying, be at home studying, watching YouTube videos, and I don't like school, but I wanted to learn it. I wanted to get my license, and this was going to be the thing that changed my life. So I'm going through this process, and I mean, in it, I never missed a class. I didn't care how I felt. I was studying all the time. I had all the books. I was YouTube. I was everything. If I could try to learn it and study it, I was going to do it. And that, to me, because I never had the confidence in the past to finish and follow through with anything, that to me was so important and so special. And that showed me I am in a place in life where I am really ready for change. But I didn't really take it yet. Now, granted, the way that I took it was a little cray cray. Okay. And that was, for me, my leap of faith. And everyone has to determine theirs. But I finished school, and I again was working a job and not loving it, but getting paid, all great. I have that comfort of a weekly check. I have that comfort of knowing I can go to this place, work this number of hours, and this will cover this, that, and the third. I had that crutch. For me, it was a crutch. And I didn't like it. And the more I learned, the more I studied, the more I journaled, the more I worked on myself and what I needed, I realized I needed to just trust myself. And so I was working, I was saving my money. I was like, you know what? Once I pass, once the new year comes, this is 2020, mind you, okay? Once the new year comes, I'm quitting, I'm leaving, we'll figure it out. That's what I'm doing. And my mother, I love my mother, I really do. And one of her best traits is that she's like, all right, cool. Like, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. If my kids come to me and say that, I'm like, now hold on now. You need to slow down. You need to think. Okay, let's breathe in and out, because that step is a big step, but I took it. And for me to be here and to be in this position is why I have this energy and why I have this smile and why I'm like, I have to share my story with people because I don't think they have a clue. So we're in what? January of 2020, and I get my real estate license. And I'm like, yes, I'm a realtor. Okay, I'm a realtor. I know I'm leaving. I'm not doing this no more. That's it. And lesson there is preparation. Is you can always do what you need to do and take your leaps, but you need to prepare for your leaps. Okay. And nevertheless, I took it. I left in February of 2020, and right after the pandemic hit. Thank God real estate was what was it called at the time? Oh my goodness, I can't think of what it was called, but it was necessary. So it was like you get to still work, right? And so, I was able to still sign up with my brokerage and, work with people, show houses, learn the ropes, do the dot, all that great stuff. Well, real estate, though, is one of those, it's not a get rich quick, but it's a get rich for sure. Quote. That's a quote, okay? And it is all about the work that you're willing to put in it. And you have to start. And I didn't know that at first. I did not know that at first. I did not know that at first. Okay. Or I wouldn't have, just jumped out there. Um, and I did, and I got, my first clients. God, I believe, put the right people in my path to make things make sense. But the one thing that he really put in my path Charmed Up by Kay, which is my boutique. It started off as an accessories boutique, but now I have to call it a boutique now, because it's not just accessories. It is now clothes, handbags, and jewelry. So, I sell a little bit of everything. But the story with Charmed Up by Kay is I was, I think I just finished my first or second real estate deal. And, I had not really sold many houses at the time. I was transferring to a new brokerage. And so, I just closed on my first home, blah, blah, blah. So, of course, I'm paying bills with those things. And then my car breaks down. And so, me being who I am, I was like, okay, well, you know what? I have to make the money back for me repairing my car. So, I was like, I need to find a product that people will buy or like, or what is something that I love that I think people will love. It's kind of where my brain was at the time. I'm not even gonna lie. And at the time, I was in the middle of losing weight. I used to be 302 pounds. And when I started the business, I was 175. I'm around that weight. I don't get on a scale anymore, though. As long as my mediums and my whatever's sits good. Okay. So I don't stick to a scale or anything like that. But I did start wearing waist beads. And that and beaded bracelets became my thing. Okay. I enjoyed it. I loved the creations that I would make. I love the fact that the waist beads, as I lost weight, they fell down my body and they were pretty and they were beautiful. And I still wear them as a reminder of where I came from. So I was also creating sentimental pieces as well. And so it became an outlet for me. It became a place of peace. And then people gravitated to it and it grew and it grew and it grew. Then where it got interesting is I am now in the middle of two things that I love for me. And I was feeling a pull of like, I can't do both the way I want to. I can't do both successfully the way I want to. When I do give that energy, something slacks, something falls, something breaks, and it's not the presentation that I want to present to people. And so I would get into these habits of where I am focusing all on term development or all on real estate, but not giving it my all. Recently, in the end of 2022 now, Charmed by K is still here. I'm still selling real estate. Both are flowing, both are moving, both are going. I'm still, taking my L's, taking my wins, and learning my lessons, but both are growing, both are moving. But something was still not right. Well, I want to say October of 2021, there was a very special lady to me who me and my mom ended up meeting on social media. Her name is Dawn Walker. And she has this wonderful merchandise and she goes live and she sells her merchandise. And, me and my mom are shoppers, we're fashionistas, we're all of that. So originally, we're starting off as just shopping with her. And she ends up motivating me to, hey, you have great merchandise, you should go live. And invites me to this live that she has. Y'all, the live-a-thon, I'm like sweating through my shirt. I'm nervous. I'm shaking. I'm like frantic. I'm making inventory like literally seconds before I go live. And that is when things kind of changed for me. And I say all of that to say, and this goes to the title of the show, is that the only thing that I had to do in any situation was get started, was to select my thought, have my vision, have my conversation with myself and God, and okay, that's what we doing. Just like today. Today, the sound didn't work. I didn't know why, but I got on here. I started it. We'll figure it out and we'll come back. It's all about getting started and you figure it out as you go along. And the stories and the people that are coming on this podcast, you guys, understand 100% and fully what I mean when I say you just got to get started. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't always have to be pretty, but it has to be there. You know what I mean? Like people have to find it, people have to see it. And you don't have to do it confident. Today, I was so nervous to do something I do all the time. I go live all the time. But now this is vulnerable, okay? This is not me selling something. This is not me being funny all the time. This is, hey, this was really hard for me. This was not the move. You know what I mean? And I took a couple bruises on that. Okay. So all of that is very important, and all of that makes us who we are. And at the end, in hindsight being 2020, I wouldn't change a thing. I've met awesome people every step of the way who motivated me and pushed me and taught me things and have gave me that extra oomph to just take that motion to take a step. So I am very, very excited about this podcast. I'm very, very excited about this podcast. So, as a reminder, just a little intermission. On Tuesdays, it will be live, and you can always comment and do a little interaction. I can see you guys' comments if you're on here. And at the end, I will read through if anyone wants to ask any questions or anything. So let's see, let me go to my notes here. All right, so I'm going to answer some questions that I want everyone that comes on the show to answer, just so we can hear the differences in, everyone's experience. So the first question is, what was the biggest thing that took you out of your comfort zone? So for me, the biggest thing that took me out of my comfort zone was a couple things. When I had to do my first house tour as a realtor, that freaked me out. Oh my gosh, y'all. I was shaking in my boots. Child, the boots ran. Like, I was so nervous. I was so nervous to show the house because that was my first time seeing the house, but that was also my first time meeting that couple. So, oh my gosh, that face to face, I don't have no time to, think it out. I really got to be quick on my feet. Though I enjoy that process, that was so nerve-wracking for me. I was just lost. Okay. So that was the first one. The second one was, again, my first time going live. That one really, really made me nervous because it was just like, what if this doesn't work? What if people don't like my product? What if people don't like the things that I'm selling, showing? What if, what I was thinking of all types of crazy stuff. What if people already got everything that I have? You know, the mind, honey. If you let the mind run, it will wander. Um, the next question is best hindsight 2020 story. Hindsight 2020 story is when I decided that I needed to pick or choose because I could tell I wasn't happy doing both between real estate and Charmed Up by K, and realizing that I love both and I have a place in both, but the way I was going about both was not correct. And I told myself I'm just going to focus on real estate and it's going to play itself out, and it ended up playing itself out. And I'm doing Charmed Up by K. Next question is what's next? What's next for me is honestly focusing on this podcast, but making sure I'm in pop-up shops, making sure that we are transitioning my boutique so that it is easy for my customers, and enjoying the process because I am someone who gets so wrapped up into work and what I'm doing that I don't leave room or time for much else. So I just want to enjoy the process, but also, upgrade and enhance and get out of my own way. is really what's next. I don't really think it's the next step. It's really things that I need to do for myself so that I can execute those next steps. You know what I mean? Um, what was the moment that you decided to go for it? So the moment I decided to go for it was when I was working my last job, my last corporate job. And I will never forget. They like rolled me up for the craziest thing. And I had never been written up for it in my like school, work, nothing. Never got a ticket, nothing. Okay. And I pride myself on stuff like that. And they wrote me up for something. I was like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm going to school and I'm getting out of here. And that's what I did. So it's a probably a irrational reason to, you know, decide to take the leap, but whatever gets you there, honey, there's no judgment. So that is a little bit about me and my backstory. I hope you guys are going to tune in to hear the others. Sometimes it will just be me, but a lot of times we will have a guest on here. But I felt like there was no one better to start this podcast than me. Okay. But our next guest on the next episode is Shanika Griffin. And honey, the title of that one is called Hustle and Motivate, okay? And when you meet her, you are going to understand why, because she is an amazing, inspirational woman. She's a mom, she's an author, she's a realtor, she is a clothing designer, and she is an awesome, awesome human being. She has spoken life into me, so I know she will speak life into you. And she is just going to be a ball of fun. I cannot wait for you guys to meet her. So that is my suggestion because I am the only one on here. And next week we will hear her suggestion. Well, not next week, the week after, we will hear her suggestion. Okay. Before we end the podcast, I have a quote, okay, about taking a leap of faith in life. And remember, everyone, all you have to do is just get started. Take your idea, take your dream, take your vision, take that thing that's giving you a little, a little heart palpitation. Take that thing and just get started. Don't be perfect. Don't be so uptight about it. Don't be so scared. Just go for it. All right. So the quote is, every great move forward in your life begins with a leap of faith, a step into the unknown. And that is by Brian Tracy. I hope everyone on here gets a little something, gets a little motivation. And I want to thank you all for watching and being here. See you next time. Bye.